Welcome to Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, a series of cautionary tales for lovers of scream. Spindleshanks has got his granny staying with him this week, which is giving me a headache. She's got a hobby, see? Bath chair diving. Ow! Have you ever wondered why old people behave like children? You mean you've never heard of the childhood snatcher? Amos Sterling wanted to be famous. He wanted people to notice him. Oh, look, that's Amos Sterling. I wish I was as clever as him. But only a stupid man would wish for that, and Amos Sterling was a stupid man. Which meant that by the time he was 40, he was neither rich nor famous. I need to have a child who's a genius. People admire a clever child, and if they admire my child, then they will admire me too. So Amos Sterling advertised for a wife. 1 year later, Betty gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and Amos christened her Albert. But Albert's a boy's name. Albert is the name of the greatest genius this world has ever known. But Albert Einstein was a man. Amos was not listening. He was dreaming of the day when his daughter would accept the prize for being the most brilliant person on the planet. And he would be standing right next to her. When Betty saw what Amos had done to his daughter's bedroom, she was horrified. Where are her toys? Albert doesn't need toys. You want to be a genius, don't you, honey? And we'll start tomorrow with a few simple sums. The child is only 4 days old. Which is why we're starting with simple sums. I don't expect her to grasp the difficult ones for weeks yet. But when she failed to grasp the difficult ones, he flew into a rage. And when she got distracted, tweet, 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 he put shutters up to shut out the rest of the world. Except at night when he flung them open. He had a theory that fresh air increased the size of Albert's brain. But one night, Albert was wakened by a long black shadow. And when she cried, a gentle voice soothed her. Good evening, Albert, said the childhood snatcher. I have been summoned by your father to take but one soft new hair from the top of your pretty little head. Now go back to sleep. The next morning, Albert wouldn't let her mother touch her. Albert doesn't love me anymore. No, she doesn't, does she? She still likes me, though, which is the main thing. And the lessons continued. When Albert should have been feeding the ducks, Amos had her learning chemistry. When she should have been baking sand pies, he had her designing motor cars. When she should have been sleeping, he megaphoned facts and figures at her to keep her awake. At 6 months old, Albert still couldn't speak, but she had a fairly strong grasp of quantum physics. The night before her first birthday, Albert received her second visit. You like the flying?
Oh, yes, it's such fun.
And your lessons with your father, are they fun too?
No, they're too serious. If I'm happy, I want to laugh. But Daddy won't let me.
That should do the trick. See you next year. And this time, when the man flew, Albert didn't see the fun in it. Over the next year, Albert became fluent in 7 languages, designed a new computer, and made her first investment on the stock market. But when her mother asked other children round for tea, Albert wanted nothing to do with them.
They're so childish.
Amos was delighted. So what if his daughter never laughed? She was a child genius, and very soon he would be famous as the child genius's father. When next the childhood snatcher called, the genius was so tired from all her lessons that she didn't wake up. The next morning, she was 2. Mother, you know I don't like presents. And Father, we should have started my Greek lesson 30 seconds ago. Albert! Mother, I haven't time for your games. It will only end in tears. No! You will listen. You are turning into a boring old woman. You should be outside putting snails down your vest, not poring over dusty textbooks all day. I think you need to see a doctor, Betty. Albert doesn't need friends. She's got me. And Betty wept for Albert's lost childhood. Within a month, Albert was offered a place at Oxford University. Within 3 months, she had passed her exams and was Prime Minister. At last, Amos had the fame he'd always dreamed of. On the night before her 3rd birthday, Albert was drafting a party political broadcast when the childhood snatcher floated into her room. "Good evening," said Albert. "Good evening, Prime Minister. Tonight is the last time we shall ever meet. Tonight, I have come to finish my work."
I thought it was finished. I no longer think like a child. What else is there for you to take from me?
"Your youth and beauty," he said. There. When Albert's parents ran into the room, their little girl had gone. And in her place was a little old lady. "This is all your fault. If you hadn't forced Albert to be a grown-up while she was still a child, none of this would ever have happened." And Amos hung his head like a very naughty boy. And that's why old people behave like children. Talking of which, Spindleshanks's granny's asked some friends round. Hang on!